Is this thing on?
Are you ready, Matt?
You're listening to Box Office Bingers
with Matt Diaz and Ernesto Santos.
Good evening, folks. We have a wonderful evening's entertainment lined up for you.
We know each other. He's a friend from work.
Box Office Bingers.
And the only way that I know how to do it is to find you a bloody good dump.
He's my friend. I don't have friends. I got family.
I can do this all day.
You know, if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything.
And we're back. Matthew, we did it. It's the Oscars. We have watched all the things, and the Oscars happen, and we're here to tell you all about it.
Yes. Yeah, this is our bonus episode. For those who have been following along, this is our wrap up for the award season. It's all the work that we put into the predictions episode we had last week. And now we're just discussing kind of all the work we put into the winners, the big shocks, the history that was made, and everything that's surrounding it. And of course, toward the end of all this, we're going to talk about the Razzies winners, because you can't talk about the best without talking about the worst. And yeah, that's pretty much wrapping up literally every awards talk that we've been doing for the last couple of weeks and / months. And then after that, we're done. We're taking a break. We're going back to nerd stuff.
Yeah.
I know Ernesto and I, we've been chatting on the side. It's like, you know how many things we have watched that we haven't talked about? You know how much news that has happened that we have not talked about?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to catch up on.
I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did we talk about any news in 2025?
No. There's a lot to catch up on.
Yeah, okay. I didn't think so. I think for the year of 2025, we have yet to do a news segment, and we've just been absorbed in everything else that's been going on. So yeah, we have a lot to talk about in the coming weeks, but we're here as a bonus episode, and a thank you to everyone who's keeping up with our awards talk. We're here to wrap this up. And we had a chance to hang out during the Oscars. We didn't have our shirts on then, but we have our shirts on now. It's a special occasion. Got a little bow ties. Yeah. Overall, before we get started, what do you think of the Oscars overall? Before we get into like the nitty gritty of it all.
I think some of the expected ones I'm really happy about. There were some, I think, things that we knew were going to happen, but I was anticipating them to not happen that way. And yeah, we'll go over it when we get to it, but I mean, it was fine overall. I think Dune 2 should have got more love. That's kind of like my general overview of it. But overall, I'm pretty happy with some of the outcomes.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, in the same sentiment, I would like to have seen The Substance gain a little bit more love. It is what it is there. I think Dune 2 walked away with 2 wins, and The Substance only walked away with 1. And there was a lot of woes and surprises that came along the way that we'll get to. But yeah, a clear a clear winner of the night was Honor, coming out with 4 wins, and not just any 4 wins. It was the same person winning for every award. Sean Baker won for editor, original screenplay, director, and best picture, and he had a hand in every one of them. He went up and accepted every single award, and I believe he made history. Made history as the first person to win 4 Oscars for a single film.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great movie. It's fantastic. We reviewed it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's definitely well warranted for the awards that it got. I don't think anyone was expecting a few of them that it got. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely the big surprise of the night right there, and then the one that made history. But yeah, overall, I think this was kind of a low year, even though there were some expected that we were expecting a few things. I think overall, as a presentation of the Oscars, I wasn't as hyped up as I was in years past, if that makes sense.
Yeah, not like last year. I mean, this year was fine, but last year
was fun. Well, let's kick off. Let's talk about the opening number. We had one hell of a performance from Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande,
Oh, that was incredible.
giving us medleys from The Wizard of Oz. And yeah, I think that was a great way to open up the ceremony.
Well, it was Wizard of Oz and Wiz.
And The Wiz, you're right.
Which, I mean, I had to, like, my kids were like, what is she singing? It's like, she's singing Home from The Wiz. It's like, do you not know what The Wiz is? I'm going to have to educate you. I used to love that movie. We actually got 2 songs from The Wiz. Because then Queen Latifah later on did Ease On Down the Road.
Yeah, which was funny because I read someone made a comment that's like, wow, the writers of the Oscars must really love The Wiz to not play it once, but twice, which I don't disagree with. I mean, some of the performances that were there, specifically the James Bond performance, which a lot of now since we're like a few days removed from the Oscar ceremony, a lot of people were giving them a lot of hate for doing that. And it just felt out of nowhere, and it definitely in some cases felt like a swan song, because in recent news, which we'll get more into in a future episode when we actually discuss some entertainment news, we'll get into more details on it. But the short version is that Amazon paid $1 billion to the people who had creative control over the James Bond franchise. So back for a little bit. I think Amazon spent like $8 billion to take over MGM Studios. But once they did that, they realized, and then maybe they already knew that already, that they did not have full creative control over the James Bond franchise. And so now a couple of years later, they paid those people an additional $1 billion so they can now take creative control over the James Bond franchise. And now Amazon can do whatever they want with James Bond. And so that was like maybe a month ago. And now they did this performance at the Oscars honoring James Bond at no milestone year whatsoever. And so it definitely feels like that's the end of James Bond, guys. Amazon got it.
I remember asking you, I was like, why are we doing this? Is this a special year? Is Margaret Qualley, and then Margaret Qualley was randomly in there, like dancing around. It's like, well, is she going to be the new Bond girl? I was like, what are we doing? What is happening here?
Yeah, and then Doja Cat and Ray and Lisa.
Yeah. Oh, there's Lisa.
There's Lisa. Just doing performances of different songs from the franchise. It just seemed a little odd and out of place. And now that I think about it, the actual ceremony itself was 3 hours and 45 minutes. It was not short.
No, not at all. Not at all short.
And we started an hour earlier this year. And I believe we did. And yeah, the ceremony ended at 10:45 and it started at 7. That's, I mean, if you're going for a shorter run, no, you did not work. And then also I was hearing, and because that even happened to you, that apparently a lot of people were complaining about the Hulu stream, that it wasn't working for a lot of people. It kept cutting out, especially around the Best Actress. I think that's when it started really cutting out, and obviously Best Actress when toward the end of the show. So a lot of people were probably tuning in for Best Picture, and and a lot of people were complaining. And then I heard some rumors around at least some of the articles that they were saying that the Oscars and the Academy may be looking into another source or another broadcast channel or something other than ABC to broadcast the ceremonies in the coming years. And ABC, as far as I know, has been airing the Oscars for as long as I can remember.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, because you have these big streamers who can able to do these live events with no issue. But I mean, this is Disney, ABC. Like, what are we doing? What's going on here, guys? Like, we ended up just signing up for a free trial of Fubo and then we had no issues with that. Right.
And also, I mean, Netflix and Amazon are proving that Netflix had some trouble with the Jake Paul fight and Mike Tyson. But after that, they did NFL Christmas Day and the Screen Actors Guild and numerous other live events, and they've been going just fine. Especially with, I believe, Raw is on Netflix airing live almost every other Monday, I've been hearing no issues over there. And then Prime has been perfecting it for years now because they have Thursday Night Football. So, I don't know. Maybe the Academy might be looking into other avenues. But with that, I mean, a lot of stuff that was happening behind the scenes. Also, on another note, It looks like just under 18.1 million people tuned into ABC's telecast of 97th Academy Awards on Sunday, making it a 7% decrease from the year before.
Wow.
And which is crazy to think about because now they were streaming live on Hulu, which would have opened the door to a lot of other people to potentially tune in. And so I don't know if that says anything about maybe there was less excitement about the films that were nominated this year. Maybe a lot of people didn't care this year. I mean, you look at the best pictures, they're not blockbusters. Most people would probably know Wicked and Dune Part 2.
Yeah, except for Wicked and Dune 2.
Mm-hmm. So aside from those two films, the rest are kind of niche. Like you really have to be into this to know what these movies are. So anyway, but with that, the Wicked opening, I thought Ariana Grande singing Over the Rainbow, right?
Yeah.
And then what song did Cynthia Erivo sing?
Home,
and then Defying Gravity, which I mean they still killed it hearing that live.
I mean, she's incredible. I mean, you could just her range, and I mean, it was like a perfect performance.
Mm-hmm. And I still got chills just listening to it, like just her going into it, and yeah. And then I think that was a great way to open it. I think that was a great way to just honor the film in general. Like that was the only performance that kind of made sense because it was nominated this year, and they weren't having any other performances throughout it, and they probably for whatever reason did not want to do the original song performances and instead went for these random performances. But the opening one made the most sense to me. After that, the other two following James Bond and Queen Latifah, right? It was Queen Latifah, right? Yeah, singing another song from The Wiz. That didn't make any sense to me.
No.
If you were going to do that, then sing another song that's relevant.
I just think nobody wanted to hear all those Amelia Perez songs. If you want me to be honest?
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame you. I think that's probably what it was. In addition to probably a whole bunch of other stuff, but like I think given also the nominees is like you have her. Her would definitely have performed The Journey pretty well. You also had Elton John was nominated. He would have killed it in that live performance. So I mean, maybe you're right. And then we dived into host Conan O'Brien. So we want to play a couple clips from it because they're pretty funny. But before we do that, just Conan as a host in general. He's fairly new to the game. We had Jimmy Kimmel on for a while. What do you think of Conan O'Brien as the host?
I thought he was fine. I thought he did a decent job. Seemed like he tried to keep it like not go like overly political or just try to jab at everybody, which he kind of did. He kind of took a jab at everybody. He was fine. Yeah,
I think he played it safe and was like a little bit dangerous.
Yeah,
like
yeah, he told the line.
He what?
Like he toed the line.
Right, and you'll hear it in some of them here. We have a few clips here that we want to say. This was probably from his opening bits, and they were pretty funny.
Unknown, a real pain. Nosferatu. These are just some of the names I was called on the red carpet. I think two are fair. We're here to celebrate the movie industry. What a year for the movie industry. Netflix leads all studios with an impressive 18, count them, 18 price increases. Yes. And I think they can beat that next year. And how about those ladies, Ariana and Cynthia? Weren't they? Incredible. Wicked is nominated tonight in 10 categories. Yeah. It's the perfect movie for anyone who's ever finished watching The Wizard of Oz and thought, sure, but where did all the minor characters go to college? That's the story.
Yeah, pause it here.
I love The Brutalist.
I mean, it's honestly a pretty good start there. First, he opened up with like a self-deprecating joke and then very quickly started going off Best Picture nominations and just hitting them with one-liners. And so, I mean, I think so far, like, he's having a pretty good run. Also, the Wicked joke is pretty funny.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
And these next few, like, I think he's playing it safe for these next few ones, and then he definitely hits a like, you'll hear it. He
lands.
He
the
hits
big
like
one. He sets up for one good one.
Yeah.
I love the Brutalist. Yeah. Brutalist also received 10 nominations. Yeah. No, I love the Brutalist. I really did. I didn't want it to end, and luckily it didn't. Conclave. I'm a Catholic boy. I love Conclave. Yeah. Yeah. Movie Conclave is nominated for Best Picture tonight. If you haven't seen Conclave, its logline is a movie about the Catholic Church, but don't worry. You got to hold on that one and just wait, yeah. And then it comes rolling back at you. Ray Fiennes is excellent in Conclave. Yeah. You are excellent. True fact. This is actually Ray Fiennes' third time being nominated. Yeah. If he doesn't win tonight, we all get to call him Ralph. Hey, Ralph, give me a towel.
I don't understand that joke.
Because his name is spelled like Ralph, but you call him
Tell if
Rafe.
he's laughing or not, it doesn't matter. Not getting paid a lot. Hey, you know what? I loved Nora. I really did. Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, true story. Little fact for you, Nora uses the F word 479 times. That's 3 more than the record set by Carla Sofia Gascon's publicist. You cheated, what?
I like how he basically like pauses and takes. He's dancing on stage.
Yeah, he's dancing.
I'm having fun. Carla Sofia Gascon is here tonight. And yeah.
And this is the only. They should have showed Carla the first time.
Your father knows about.
Oh no. Yeah, they should have shown her, and then he's like, then he continued to say, if you're gonna tweet me, if you're gonna talk about this performance tonight, I'm your host, Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh, hold on, here I got it. I still pass it for you.
Gotcha. Okay.
And Carla, if you are going to tweet about the Oscars, remember, my name is Jimmy Kimmel.
Someone like Carla asked, "What?
Yeah.
What did he say?"
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that's just a taste of the opening monologue that he did there. And some of them were pretty funny, especially since we were in the know of literally every nomination. Those jokes land pretty well.
Yeah.
Especially with that one, I feel like he was like ramping up to like the line, and then he hit the line, and then he knew that was a good joke too, because he was like, "Ha, look at they're laughing, having a good time."
It's like, gotcha.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think he was just having fun on stage, and I that resonated with the audience, and it resonated with the viewers like us, and I was like, yeah, no, this is pretty good. I think he did a really good job with selling like the fun and not taking this like too seriously. But also he was serious when he needed to be serious, which was sometimes, that's the line you have to play. And then there was a really funny joke where he was like, all right, we've reached halfway through the ceremony. Now it's time for Kelly Jamar to call Drake a pedophile.
Yeah, it was so random. It was funny. It was really random.
I was like, wow, that was totally uncalled for, and he went for it. And then I think he says, don't worry, I'm lowering up. It's good. I think he did a really good job. I was reading a few comments. I think the Academy was really happy with Conan's hosting skills, and Conan tweeted back or something saying that he'll be happy to come back next year if he's invited. So I think that's a good marriage. I think also it's nice to mix things up from like Kimmel we've had for a few years, and now just to spice things up a little bit, I think Conan was having just a good time being out there. Yeah. All right. So let's dive into the winners, shall we?
All right.
The winners of the 97 Academy Awards. First one of the night. We'll go in order as the ceremonies did it, and the first one of the night is Best Supporting Actor, which, no surprise, went to Karen Culkin.
Much deserved win. I mean, the movie is incredible. We knew he was going to win. I mean, it was. If you've seen the movie, we reviewed it. We had Christina on it. The movie's incredible. His performance is incredible. I actually think this is another movie I think should have been nominated for Best Picture. And I think, I liked Denora for screenplay, but I think that this movie should have won for screenplay.
Yeah. Honestly, with the nominations it did receive, this was the one that we expected it to win.
Yeah.
Karen Culkin was sweeping in all the other award shows, and so this was almost a given. But I do agree with you when it comes to original screenplay. Like, Anora's great. I think it's a great script, but this just had a lot more emotion tied to it. And I think it was snubbed a little bit for the win. At least he got the nom, but the win's much better sometimes.
Yeah, I agree.
And then we're gonna play a piece of his acceptance speech, and he probably had one of the best speeches of the night, to be honest with you.
To be honest, I loved his speech. I think it's incredible. I think at the highlight of your career. Oh well, let's play the clip and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Jesse Eisenberg. Thank you for this movie. You're a genius. I would never say that to your face. I'm never saying it again, so soak it up. Thank you for this movie. Thank you, Searchlight, Topic Studios, M. Dave and Alley at Fruit Tree. I'm going to speed this up because I don't want Lithgow to get disappointed and give the look. You look fine right now. I should thank my mom and Steve for trying to raise me. You're really good people. You gave it your best shot. I love you, Mom. I love you, Jazz. This is, I have to thank my wife, Jazz, for absolutely everything, for giving me my favorite people in the world. Please don't play the music because I want to tell a really quick story about Jazz. About a year ago, I was on a stage like this, and I very stupidly publicly said that I want a third kid from her because she said if I won the award, she would give me the kid. It turns out she said that because she didn't think I was going to win. But and people came up to her and were like, really annoying her. I think it got to her. But anyway. After the show, we're walking through a parking lot. She's holding Emily. We're trying to find our car. Emily, you were there, so you're a witness. And she goes, "Oh, God, I did say that. I guess I owe you a third kid." And I turned to her and I said, "Really, I want 4. And she turned to me. I swear to God, this happened. It was just over a year ago. She said, "I will give you 4 when you win an Oscar." I held my hand out. She shook it. And I have not brought it up once until just now. You remember that, honey? You do? Okay. Then I just have this to say to you, Jazz. Love of my life, ye of little faith. No pressure. I love you. I'm really sorry I did this again. And let's get cracking on those kids. What do you say? I love you. I love you, T2 and Booba. I love you, 52.
Amazing.
To me, that was the best. That was one of the best speeches of the entire night. I mean, How can you not love that? The man is at the highlight of his career. You know what he's thinking about? Like, building his family up. Like, to me, I think that's beautiful.
I just think it's because also it's a very, you can thank a lot of these accepted speeches, they decide to go different routes. It's an emotional route. You can go political route. This is your platform to say what you want. Some people say very little and just say thank you and move on. But here he told a story that was like, he was kind of working the crowd, and it was a great, great story and I just love how he says, "My lovely wife, ye little faith."
It was a great moment.
Yeah, it really was. It was a great story. And see, now, Adrian Brody, take notes. This is how you tell them to not play the music and then have a good payoff of a story to make like, "Oh, I'm glad we stuck around for that story." I'm just saying. We'll get to Adrian Brody in a second, but anyway, I no doubt he had the best speech of the night. It was just delightful to see. It was very similar in a sense, and maybe not as emotional, but like when Ke Huy Quan won for Best Supporting Actor 2 years ago, you can tell his excitement of being up there, and he's just happy to be a part of this industry. And I felt that very much with Karen Culkin, as well as he was holding on to that story the entire time, the entire award season, and he was like, "Man, if I win this Oscar, this is gonna be this story's gonna kill the audience."
Oh yeah, and look, everybody's talking, and that's the thing everybody's talking about.
Yeah, so good. All right, and then we moved on to the next award, which was fine, I guess. Best animated feature went to Flow. I'm not mad. This was a front runner, but I really wanted it to be the Wild Robot.
Yeah, I really wanted Wild Robot to win. I think it's cool that we were able to get this movie that, has no actual dialogue. It's technically made in another language, but it translates to everybody because of that. And I think it's cool. I mean, it was built, the animation's pretty. It was built on open source, that everybody has access to. So I think if anything, it's a call out to the big studios, letting them know that you may not have the animation game on lock as much as you think you do. I think to me, that's what pointed, because I've been thinking about, to me, that's what points more to the win. Although Wild Robot was clearly my favorite. That's what I wanted to win, but I see why that this one was chosen.
Yeah, for many reasons, what we'll get to as well. Independent filmmaking was a true winner during the Oscars. So many independent films were winners that night, and it's great to see independent films get recognized for what they truly, it's kind of great to see that, because like you were saying, you don't need a lot of money, a lot of marketing to win Oscars. You just need a great film and let the work show for itself. And yeah, so open source software was called Blender, and the movie was made for $3.4 million. And now it's winning all these accolades. But at the end of the day, for me, I think you and we always focus on story. The Wild Robot also looked beautiful and had a great story behind it. And so I don't know. I feel like the Wild Robot really got snubbed on this one, but I like that Flow took the win here. It was the first win for Latvia, and so there was a historic moment for them. I believe they also, before they even won the Oscar, they have a statue of this cat somewhere in their city as well.
That's crazy.
And so yeah, it's honestly, even for Flow and the Wild Robot, I really loved Memoirs of a Snail, a film we talked about. That was a great film, and that also deserved the win as well. The story was incredible. Yeah. And it was heartbreaking and tragic, but there was a slight hope in there. I would have been happy if that took the win too, because the animation was very creative, but at the end of the day, Flow took it. I'm not mad at it. My hope was leaning toward the Wild Robot.
Same.
To this next one, which was, I don't think it wasn't even on our radar.
No. But sometimes I see why they do it, because they sometimes the Oscars, they like to go the political route with certain things, or they like to focus on certain issues, and whatever project that highlights that issue, that seems to be the one that they usually go for.
Yeah, and in this case, Best Animated Short went to In the Shadow of the Cypress, which was a big surprise of the night for a lot of people, including ourselves, who were predicting the Oscars. I was almost for sure Magic Candies was going to win. We talked about it in our predictions episode. It was the one that was adapted from a book. It was the most well-known. That's typically the case. It was also the one that was easily understood, and the safe bet, so to speak. And a lot of the predictions were same Magic Candies as well. And then, but I know for us, we were involved with other ones. You preferred Yuck. I liked Wander to Wonder. Well, yeah, one of the two. And we weren't even thinking about this one at all.
No, not at all.
And that one took the win. And then also the acceptance speech here got a lot of flack online as well, because I guess they were talking about how their English wasn't great, so they wanted to write it down, but then the guy who was there was nervous about reading it, so his partner started to read it, and was reading it just fine, with perfectly understood English, and then he yanked the phone from her and said you were saying it wrong, and then proceeded to repeat himself from his speech that he wrote down, and that was getting a lot of hate from people online. And also, that pretty much negates your whole point of this short, because if you look at the story,
yeah, it's like,
I don't know.
I remember even when we watched it, we were like, "Why did he do that?" Like,
Yeah,
it was just weird.
It's very strange. Not cool, bro. Not cool.
No.
But it won.
Sure.
This is one of the ones where I don't agree with whatsoever.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Mm-hmm. All right, moving on to winner for best costume design. This one was well expected. Wicked takes the win for best costume design, and also this was a great. There's a new thing they did was that they had some of the actors who were involved in the films, and they were giving the costume designers like a 2-minute intro, kind of giving them their flowers and why they deserved the Oscar nomination. And then once they were done, they presented the winner. And I think that was a great way for the audience to put a face to the nominations.
Yeah, I agree. And then kind of like, just kind of what you said, just kind of going over their past work and like why this work was so influential. I thought it was great. I mean, I want to, because they also did it for cinematographers too.
They did. And I think that honestly, that's what they should have been doing this whole time.
Yeah.
They are names that we are most likely maybe not familiar with, and they should be recognized as such on because they're just as influential as the actors and the directors and the big names attached to these as well.
Yeah.
So, but definitely a well-deserved win there for costume design. It's almost to be expected. This world building was incredible, and the costumes were bar none some of the best stuff we've seen all year for sure. So a well-deserved win there.
Yeah.
Moving on to best original screenplay. This was also expected. Honora won for best original screenplay. Ernesto and I were just talking about how we probably would have preferred A Real Pain to take this award. And I still stand by it. I 100% agree with you. Honora was great in other fronts. I just think A Real Pain had a stronger screenplay. That being said, it's a solid script from Honora.
Yeah, it's solid, but I mean, Real Pain should have won. I mean, without a doubt. That script is the way that movie is written is amazing, and the way the characters are written. I just like, not that there's as much care, but I just felt like there was more care put into that story than there was this one.
I agree with you. Also, just a lot of relatability to A Real Pain.
Yes.
A lot of human connections that came with The Real Pain. This also, I think Honora also highlighted human connections as well in a different way. It's just that, I don't know, I feel like A Real Pain was just more, just did it a little bit better.
Which is a better story.
Yeah. But yeah, so that went to Sean Baker. That was one of the first awards that went to Sean Baker for the night. And we'll highlight one of his speeches later on the line from one of his many awards that he won that night. But yeah, and then so moving on to the winner for best adapted screenplay went to Conclave. This does not come to too surprising because this was one of the favorites to get it. However, it did win over Nickel Boys, which was also a favorite to win. And so I think it's a toss-up between that. I personally thought Conclave was a better story than Nickel Boys, in my opinion. So I think this is a well-deserved win.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Mm-hmm. All right, yeah. Moving on to now best makeup and hairstyling. For me, this was a no-brainer. This is the one win of the night for The Substance. I was happy it got the win here, and yeah, I was just the ending alone in that film deserves an Oscar in and of itself. The build up to everything that was going on with this film, the hair and makeup, the makeup and hairstylings are all over this film. It is on full display, and it's a well-deserved win here.
Yeah, to me, it was between this or Wicked.
Mm-hmm. And this had a lot more going on, at least on that category, than Wicked did.
Well, I mean, clearly.
So yeah, at least The Substance can say it's an Oscar-winning film, and I can live with that.
It's got something.
Moving on winner for Best Film Editing. This one was quite surprising for me. Went to Anora. I honestly, I mean, it was a category during our predictions episode that we really didn't have much to say.
No.
We felt like none of these films were highlighted in their editing skills. We were saying that Dune 2 probably should have been up there more than anything else, and it wasn't. And so, yeah, I guess to me, this was a little bit surprising because I would not have picked Anora to win this category. But again, this was Sean Baker's second win of the night. And that's the ball just kept rolling for him throughout the night.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Best Film Editing went to Anora.
Sure.
And yeah, sure. Winner for Best Supporting Actress. This one was also expected. Went to Zoe Saldana for Amelia Perez. Again, same as Kara Koken. She was sweeping in the awards category, in the award shows, and there was kind of a no-brainer on that she was going to win. A secondary favorite that a lot of people thought that might have taken it from under her was Ariana Grande for her performance in Wicked, but alas, Zoe Saldana won for that one. And we do have a clip that's part of her speech.
My mom, my dad, and my sisters Marielle and Cicely. Everything brave, outrageous, and good that I've ever done in my life is because of you. Thank you so much. And to my husband, with that beautiful hair, you're just...
He does have beautiful hair.
He does. He really does.
The biggest honor in my life is being your partner. You hung the moon and our beautiful, perfect suns, Sai, Bowie, and Zen. They fill our skies every night with stars. My grandmother came to this country in 1961. I am a proud child of immigrant parents with dreams and dignity and hardworking hands. And I am the first American of Dominican origin to accept an Academy Award. And I know I will not be the last. I hope the fact that I'm getting an award for a role where I got to sing and speak in Spanish. My grandmother, if she were here, she would be so delighted. This is for my grandmother, Argentina Cece. Thank you so much. Muchas gracias.
Yeah, I would say clearly that is probably the most emotional speech we heard all night.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Dominican descent, so I'm loving it. I'm loving the love for our country. Well, of course, we want to see more up there, and I mean, Zoe Saldana, I mean, she's incredible. I think I saw something came out. She's like the out of the 10 most grossing films of all time. She's on like 3 or 4 of them. She's incredible. Like she's everything she does. She's amazing. So I'm down for, I can't wait to see what she does next.
Yeah. To me, this was I feel like it's more of a well-deserved win for the actress, less about, I did enjoy her performance in Amelia Perez, but I think as an actress, she definitely, for all the things that she's done in the past as well, for all the Marvel stuff, on the Avatar stuff, I think she's an incredible actress, and she definitely deserves an Oscar for not only for Amelia Perez's performance, but for all the performance she's done through the many years that she's been doing it. So I think it was a well-deserved win overall.
So she's part of the 3 films of the highest grossing films of all time: Endgame, Avatar, and Avatar: Way of Water. Yeah,
I think what I do hope, at least for next year, though, Ariana Grande didn't get it for this year. Let's try again next year.
Yeah. I would like to. I mean, I was talking to Hadass about this because she was messaging me about what her thoughts, and I was like, I hope that I think that Wicked next year is going to get its flowers. Like they're waiting for good to like give it for everything, which I don't necessarily agree with. I think you should be recognized for both projects if it's warranted,
Yeah, and I'm very curious like how different Wicked for Good is going to be, and if it is going to be, it's a lot of people are going to go see it. That's no question there.
Yeah,
but will the Oscars, like you were saying, give it its recognition on that front, giving it as far as a finale, rather than what Wicked did was more of a part 1. So we'll see. I mean, Wicked For Good could be representative of 1 and 2, if you want to think of it that way. But I don't know, maybe. And also, like, since you gave it the award for costume and production design, are you going to honor it again for the same thing? Because basically they filmed it all at once. So you're just seeing the second half of what was already awarded. So
it's like it's going to get its technical awards in the beginning. But since you've already seen all those technical things in the second one, you're not going to recognize them. So that maybe that's a way to kind of spread the wealth a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the same can be said about, John M. Chu was definitely robbed for an Oscar nom for directing.
Yeah, I agree.
But yet Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande were nominated for Best Actress and Supporting Actress. So then again, it comes to beg the question. It's going to be a different performance. Don't get me wrong, but they were all filmed at the same time. So basically, just one long big movie just split into 2 parts. So how much is For Good going to be different for the Academy to want to recognize it yet again for basically the same thing?
Well,
time will tell.
In the aspect of the show, like the second act is a darker part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
there should be. I mean, they're writing new songs for it, and I think they did that so that they could be nominated for original song next year.
Mm-hmm. I'll be very interested to see how Wicked plays into next year's Oscars.
Yeah.
But yeah, so congratulations to Zoe Saldana. Again, she's definitely a well-deserved win there. I do think that Ariana Grande had a better performance overall, but I think it was a well-deserved win regardless for Zoe Saldana. Moving on to, speaking of Wicked, Best Production Design went to Wicked. This was a no-brainer. We were talking about it in our predictions episode. The sets in this film was incredible, and it definitely deserved the win here.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, for everything we listed before, it needed to win for this one.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. There's no other film I could thought of to win this. Moving on to Best Original Song, which went to El Mal from Emilia Perez. I mean, again, we didn't really have a dog in the fight for original song. I mean, it was very kind of like, not to say anticlimactic, but not a lot of recognition went to the songs this year, to the point where they weren't even performed at the Oscars. So I feel like we were even less connected to this particular category. And they kind of just like, and the winner is for Best Original Song, El Mal for Emilia Perez. Thank you and good night.
It's like, oh, okay.
They did, however, they did say that they were going to, like, in the process of the nominees, and the nominees we did get to see some behind the scenes of some of the work that went to the songs as well as some of the work that went into the score. So okay, you did that part, and I think that's great, but not a lot of love went to Best Original Song this year, at least as far as the awards are concerned.
Yeah.
Moving on to Best Documentary Short, which was, again, another surprise. It was not on our radar. Best Documentary Short went to The Only Girl in the Orchestra.
I'm very disappointed in this.
It was a fine documentary short, but again, and I think we'll talk about this more further when we talk about the winner for documentary feature. There was one that we really resonated with, which was I Am Ready, Warden, which was a powerful documentary short that kind of said a lot about our prison system and our judicial system and the death penalty and like how all that works. And we got 2 sides of the story. It was really impactful. And then we also had another one, Death by Numbers, which highlighted a student who was affected by the Parkland school shooting and her struggles that she's been going through in that. And then this one, not discrediting her story, but it was following a celloist or a bass player. I'm not entirely sure. She was basically the first woman to play this instrument in an orchestra to this magnitude, and they were highlighting her career. And again, it was a fine documentary. It was kind of by the books, and that's the one that won. And basically, the way that I see it was this was an award given for artists recognizing artists.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I felt like the docu short last year, we had the similar issue because it was that the one about the barbershop that we really liked. That was really good, and it didn't win. And it was like for the same reason. They picked it like something like this, which is fine. Like I think it was fine to be nominated. I just like as far as like us as a society, like I Am Ready Warden, it was clearly should have been the winner.
Yeah.
Just the way it was
And
executed, the way it was put together, like even now, like I would recommend anybody to go watch that documentary short. It is well worth your time. I think it's very, very good.
Yeah, and this one again, I just read the byline. It says a celebration of trailblazing, double biased Conan O'Brien, the first woman to become a full-time member of the New York Philharmonic. Like again, a great story to kind of watch. It was fine, but not for the win. Not for the win here. I agree with you. We just highlighted two other shorts that would have been more well-deserving of the award. And this was a clear case of artists recognizing other artists. And I thought even the way that the documentary was told was just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just our opinion there. Moving on, winner for best documentary feature. Again, it went on the opposite spectrum. It went to No Other Land, a film that was kind of highlighting. I'll read the description here as well. A film made by a Palestinian-Israel collective shows the destruction of the occupied West Bank's massacre yada by Israel soldiers and the alliance which develops between the Palestinian activist Basil and Israeli journalist Yuval. I probably messed up a lot of those words, and I apologize. But it was the way that the documentary was told, and we talked about this in our predictions episode. Actually, no, we talked about this when we were talking about the documentaries on episode 249. And it was more like, here's the thing that's happening. Here's how we were being affected by it. And then we see footage of it. And then it goes to them talking about it, them being distraught by him, them talking about people that are affected by it. And then it kind of goes in a full circle again and again and again. And I think the way that it was told wasn't as engaging as I would have liked, but the message around it was powerful. I think it would have served better as a documentary short rather than a documentary feature. But yet this was the one that won.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you 100%. Yeah.
But nonetheless, we thought Porcelain War was also highlighting a similar story about these people who live in their country being affected by a war and what they're doing for it. And I thought the way that was told was done way better than No Other Land. And so again, it's one of those situations where maybe this was a political statement for the Oscars to give this the win, even though it wasn't the best, in our opinion, for the win.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't like the way it was constructed. I think it was too drawn out for the story they were trying to tell.
Mm-hmm. I agree, especially for a 2-hour. Actually, it was 90 minutes. It was still drawn out for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Porcelain War was. I think it was a way better story. It had some creative animation in there as well. I thought it was just told better and more engaging way than I believe this one was.
Yeah, I agree.
So definitely a disappointment from us for the documentary categories.
But to me, this is another one of those. I think that they picked it for the issue as opposed to the documentary itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, this one is highlighting the Israeli-Palestine war. Like, this is the one. Yeah. So this is the one we're gonna go. This is the one that we're gonna go for, just to promote this specific issue. Because I mean, there were reports about, like, and this is just in general, about certain voters that they didn't see all the movies, like
mm-hmm.
they didn't vote for certain people because they thought they had won. Like, so not even doing the work that's required of you to make an unbiased decision. Like, so you're basically just highlighting that this is just a popularity, like certain things are just out of popularity or whatever the message is going to be, which is really, really disappointing. Like when I saw because there was a bunch of shit that came out this year that just kind of highlighting those statements, and it's like, really? It's like, you guys, this is literally your job, is to watch and vote on this shit fairly. Like, that can't be too hard to ask.
It kind of puts us at like why are we putting all the work if you're not willing to do the work?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
how it made me feel.
It's I mean, granted, we're doing the work as far as what is being nominated. So some people have to do the work for the nomination to happen. And then once the nomination's here, then we're doing the work based on the nominations. But regardless, I mean, the Oscars is I feel like in some cases it can be a popularity contest, or like, oh, this person did this and we should recognize them this year for it. And I feel like that was the case for like Leonardo DiCaprio. A lot of people thought he should have won an Oscar a long time ago, but it was The Revenant that where he finally got the award because it felt like that he was due a win. So we're going to give it to him for this one. Doesn't matter. Doesn't mean he deserved it for that one, but it was time for him to win one because that's what makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
And even Porcelain War, the one we're talking about, the war that they were highlighting was the Ukraine war. So like they could have made the same statement there as well.
That's true. Very true.
But I guess they had to pick a war and they chose that one. So yeah, again, a little bit disappointed this year on the documentary feature categories. Anyway, moving on to best sound. Now let's get into stuff we actually well deserved here. Dune Part 2, there's no question, hands down, this would have won. It should have won. It won.
Yeah, I mean, it was well deserved, well earned. And we can just, I mean, right to the next one as well as best visual effects for Dune 2 as well. Kind of this is really the extent of their win for the evening, even though this movie clearly deserves way more recognition. I mean, Denis Villeneuve should have been nominated for Best Director. This movie should have won for Best Picture. If A Real Pain was up there, then see, if it was up against A Real Pain for Best Picture, I would have a hard time trying to pick between the two because I love both films equally for different reasons.
Yeah, it is interesting what, like, this film was nominated for a lot, but definitely did not shine. I mean, and also, I mean, we'll get to it toward the end, but Emilia Perez in the same boat, nominated for 13 nominations. We were talking about that in our predictions when the nominations originally was released. And yet it only walked away with 2. And that was probably, in that case, for Emilia Perez, the most nominations with the least amount of wins. And Dune, I believe, walked away with 10 nominations and still only walked away with 2 wins. I'm quickly looking over to see what, Dune Part 1, however, won 6 Academy Awards. So maybe to the point of the popularity contest, like we were highlighting earlier, was that, we gave a lot of our awards to Dune Part 1, so we don't need to give as much to Dune Part 2. Even though, in my opinion, I think you agree, Dune Part 2 was a way better film.
100%. Like Dune Part 2, I think I've seen that movie at least 3 or 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's incredible the work he put into this franchise. Even though this is a movie that this is technically another reiteration because there's another film that came out in the 80s, and I think that this was incredible, and I'm glad it got some love, even though it deserved a lot more.
Yeah, but I think for best sound and visual effects, well deserved wins there.
Yeah, agreed.
Moving on to best live action short. This one we were actually quite surprised with. We were putting our faith in other awards, other nominees, and I forgot which one we thought was going to win.
Which one was it?
Well, I'm completely drawing a blank here on some of the nominees.
Alien or Alien.
That's right. Alien and Anuja. Those were our favorites. And we thought that because they were pushing a message that would have won. But the one that we actually also enjoyed, I Am Not a Robot, won for best live action short. And I couldn't be happier. I thought it was a great short film.
Yeah, it was fun. I'm glad that this one won. It was really fun, really well put together.
100% agree. Moving on to best cinematography. This was another one where they were highlighting different cinematographers up for best for this nomination. And The Brutalist was the first one of the night for The Brutalist. This was expected this was expected to win in the cinematography category. I 100% thought that one of the highlights of this film was the way that it was shot. I do think the award should have went to Nosferatu. I enjoy the cinematography in that movie a lot more than I did with The Brutalist, but this win, though I don't agree with it, I understand it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I agree. I mean, the movie's just it's hard to appreciate when when it's that long and and it's slow and that long. It's hard to keep up with it, but I can see the win.
Agreed. And also, I just want to point out, because I forgot to mention it during when we were talking about production design, Ben Stiller had a really funny bit about production design and how, like, very similar to last year when John Cena came out butt naked. And he was just costumes. And, like, you really got the joke with, like,
production design.
Well, last year was for costumes. This year, Ben Stiller was production design.
Yeah.
And And so Ben Stiller was kind of like reacting to malfunctions that were happening on stage and highlighting how important the production design is in their work, because if it doesn't go well, then you can see it, you see the mistakes very easily. So when you don't see those mistakes and it goes flawlessly, then that means they're doing their job correctly. And I think that was a great way of highlighting some of that. So I just wanted to mention it before I forgot.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on from Best Cinematography to Best International Film. This was a well-deserved win here. I'm Still Here, easily the best film in the category. A lot of people thought that this was a surprise win, but if you talk to us, this was a well-deserved win. No surprises here.
I mean, it absolutely should have won. I mean, did they really think that Emilia Perez was going to win?
That was a front runner.
Get out of here! Like, just get the fuck out of here. That movie pales in comparison. This movie here is so damn good. Like, Emilia Perez, this is not even anywhere near on the same level. It doesn't even, I mean, in my own personal opinion, it doesn't even deserve to be in the same nomination category as this movie. Is how good this movie is compared to that one.
Yeah, this was the first win for Brazil, and so well-deserved win there, and also for the subject matter that I was discussing in this film. I think it's great to, even though that due to the subject matter and how much it meant for the people of Brazil, that this is the one that won for best international film. And also for us, it's a tell in a way that if a movie is nominated for Best Picture and it's an international film, it's most likely also going to be nominated for Best International Film. And so if it's not likely to win Best Picture, there's a good chance it's going to win for the other category. And that's exactly what happened here. And technically 3 films from the international feature category. We had Emilia Perez, I'm Still Here, and Flow were nominated in their respective other categories. So that was just interesting there. But yeah, I'm Still Here. There was no competition. This film was leaps and bounds than any of the films that were nominated in this category. So if Emilia Perez did win, that would have been a huge disappointment. But it didn't, and this was a well-deserved win here. A lot of articles saying this was like a surprise, and I was like, then you weren't paying attention.
Yeah, you clearly didn't watch the movie.
Yeah. So yeah, well-deserved win here, and for Brazil. Moving on to Best Original Score. Again, the Wild Robot got shafted this year.
You know who else got shafted for this one? Dune 2.
Dune 2, yes. Yeah, before he even had a chance. The Oscars have really strict rules, and before even the nominations dropped, they announced that Hans Zimmer's score was not did not qualify for this year's original score because it recycled too many themes from the first movie, and therefore it was not original. And it's such a disappointment to hear that, because the score in Dune Part 2 is different as well as way better than the score in Dune Part 1. I listened to that score a bunch. Hans Zimmer did some amazing work, and it's sad to hear that he could not even had a chance to be recognized at this year's Oscars. But also with that, the Wild Robot, Chris Bowers' score, if it didn't win for Best Animated Feature, I can understand that, but not winning for Best Original Score, that score was incredible.
Yeah, I agree.
The score did what the score is supposed to do: invoke emotions for the scene. And when your music is literally lifting the scene and putting it together and giving it that magic, that movie magic and is making you cry when a bird is migrating, get out of here. I don't see the Brutalist do anything. The Brutalist puts you to sleep with its music.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty jarring. I mean, it is very prominent in the film, but there were clearly other better options.
Yeah, I even really enjoyed the score for Conclave. I thought that was a well-designed score as well. But for me, the favorite was the Wild Robot. But unfortunately, the front runner was the Brutalist, and this was an expected win for them.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So, not to say that wasn't expecting it. The music was prominent in this movie, like you said, but I don't think it evoked any emotion, even though it was prominent.
I mean, it was kind of emotional, but just in comparison, I just think that there were better options.
Yeah, agreed. All right, moving on to Best Actor, and probably one of the funniest, and for different reasons. Best Actor went to Adrian Brody for his performance in The Brutalist. This was also expected. He was a clear front runner. The only other competition in this category with Timothée Chalamet for his performance in A Complete Unknown, and I think this was a well-deserved win for him. And I think was even better was his acceptance speech.
He broke the record. I mean, he literally broke the Guinness World Book records for longest Oscar speech. I think he beat it by like 10 seconds. He was 5:40.
I was reading here the Guinness World Records. Yeah. I'm reading here that his speech lasted 5 minutes and 31 seconds.
Oh, okay. 5:31.
And the previous record holder was from a person named Greer Garson from 1943. And his acceptance speech was 5 minutes and 30 seconds. So according to this, he beat it by 1 second.
Oh, I mean, the best part was that in the middle of his speech, he kept saying that I'll be brief.
Yes.
And then here we have the clip when they tried to play him off.
Mm-hmm. Around 3 minutes in.
Yeah.
The real Laszlo Toth, who deserves to be up here as well. And I'm wrapping up. Please. I'm wrapping up. I will wrap up. Please turn the music off. I've done this before. Thank you. Let me see. It's not my first rodeo, but I will be brief. I will not be egregious. I promise.
Then he was.
And then gives the longest speech ever.
I have to thank my mom and dad who are here as well.
He went on for another 2.5 minutes.
And they've given.
Yeah, it was very long.
I think it's just funny that he said he was going to keep it brief, and then
he didn't.
And then he did it. And so, like, I don't know, like, first of all, it was a baller move to tell him to turn off the music.
Yeah,
like, and
cut this shit out.
Sorry, say it again.
It's like, cut that shit out. Do you know who I am? I'm Adrian Brody.
Yeah. And I feel like there are some actors that you just don't play off. Like, you let them give them their time. But it was 3 minutes long. A lot of people, like even Karen Culkin had about a 3.5 minute speech. Zoe Saldana had about a 3 minute speech. So they were on par by giving him the music. And then he was like, I'll be brief. But you already hit your limit of compared to your other counterparts. And then you went on an additional 2.5 minutes. So you basically took the time for 2 acceptance speeches. And I don't think he said much really to warrant all of that. He was just up on stage kind of rambling in a way.
Yeah, he was just thanking everybody. It's like, I mean, everybody does that. But at a certain point, it's like, okay, we got to move this along, big guy.
And then they played him off again. And he's like, all right, I'll leave.
I guess it's time now.
And then a lot of people were commenting before his acceptance speech. He had gum in his mouth and he threw it.
Oh, yeah.
To his partner, and at
least they caught it.
And then, she caught it, and I don't know. To me, I think it's hilarious that he kept. I don't know if he knew that or not, or he felt like he was brief, but there was definitely an ego there, for sure.
100%.
That he was, and then he ended up now breaking the Guinness World Record for the longest speech when he was telling them, "I'm going to keep this brief." The irony in that is incredible. incredible. But yeah, anyway, an expected win, a well-deserved win for Adrian Brody for The Brutalist. Moving on to Best Director, closing out the last few awards of the night, went to, again, Sean Baker, collecting his third Oscar of the night. And with that, he kept his acceptance speeches very brief. But then he took the time, since he was up there quite a bit, he already gave his thanks to everyone else he had between for best writing and for best editing. But it was here he decided to give recognition to the movie theaters. And I thought it was a great speech.
Oh, yeah.
So we're all here tonight and watching this broadcast because we love movies. Where did we fall in love with the movies? At the movie theater. Watching a film in the theater with an audience is an experience. We can laugh together, cry together, scream and fright together, perhaps sit in devastated silence together. And in a time in which the world can feel very divided, this is more important than ever. It's a communal experience you simply don't get at home. And right now, the theater-going experience is under threat. Movie theaters, especially independently owned theaters, are struggling, and it's up to us to support them. During the pandemic, we lost nearly 1,000 screens in the US, and we continue to lose them regularly. If we don't reverse this trend, we'll be losing a vital part of our culture. This is my battle cry. Filmmakers, keep making films for the big screen. I know I will. Distributors, please focus first and foremost on the theatrical releases of your films. Neon did that for me, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Parents, introduce your children to feature films in movie theaters, and you'll be molding the next generation of movie lovers and filmmakers. And for all of us, when we can, please watch movies in the theater, and let's keep the great tradition of the movie-going experience alive and well. And one last thing, my mother introduced me to cinema at 5 years old. Today is also her birthday. Happy birthday, Mom. I love you. Thank you for everything. And this is for you.
That's how you keep it humble, man.
That's right. That's how you do it, Adrian Brody.
That's how you do it. Take notes, Adrian Brody. Like he's like, this is my first rodeo. Literally that night, that was his third time up the stage, and he still kept it brief.
Yeah, it's like there's other people who's got to go up here.
What a great speech! What a recognition to the movie-going experience, supporting independent film. I mean, not more you can ask for as far as like recognizing and appreciating part of where you came from. And yeah, I thought it was a fantastic speech, really supporting the movie theater experience, and something that we resonate with quite a bit because we do it almost once a week.
I mean, he's right. I mean, he's obviously right. I mean, we as bingers who go to the movie theaters all the times, we clearly agree. But yeah, I mean, streaming at home is fun. It's nice and convenient, and it works for certain mediums. But like, to get the full experience, we need to go back to focusing on the theater experience.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, it's fantastic that he highlighted that. And then the awards keep coming for Anora, and what was for me the biggest shock of the night. And we were talking about this before in the award show, and like, Anora was already sweeping. We already figured it was going to win Best Picture, but all talks were who was going to win Best Actress. And the clear frontrunner was Demi Moore. We also thought that someone who could have steal it from Demi Moore would have been Fernando Torres for her performance in I'm Still Here. And then they announced the winner for Best Actress was Mickey Madison and Anora. And I was like, wow, they went in a completely different direction than they have, than I expected they were going to. Anora was having one hell of a night. I don't disagree that she deserved the win. I thought it was a fantastic performance from Mickey Madison. That being said, I did not think that she was going to take it from Demi Moore.
Yeah, and what's really funny, I think you pointed it out, that her winning is like literally the plot of The Substance.
Yeah. It is. It 100% is.
Like the irony.
The irony there. I just truly didn't. I feel like for Demi Moore, it was one of those situations where like you have been contributing to Hollywood year after year, and you are a Hollywood icon at this point, and this is your chance to win the Oscar for not only your performance and the substance, but your performances and your commitment to the craft for many, many years. The same thing happened, I believe, for Michelle Yeoh and Jamie Lee Curtis when they won their Oscars for Everything Everywhere All at Once for their great performances in that film. I thought Demi Moore would have gotten it, and I was shocked that Mickey Madison won. I think it was deserved. I didn't think she was going to win.
Yeah, agreed.
And then even again, Fernando Torres, her quiet, subtle performance, I would have understood if she took it. I was like, okay, the Oscars went a different direction, but again, they really loved Honora.
Yeah.
So much so, moving on to the last award of the night, Honora won for Best Picture.
Yeah.
At this point, it was almost expected.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's like if you didn't win Best Picture, it's like what, you showcased everything else about it, so why not? Although, once again, my top two picks would have been A Real Pain. It would have been a toss-up between A Real Pain and Dune 2, but Nora's a good film. It's a good movie.
Yeah, I definitely obviously felt the substance should have been. I appreciate the nomination. I knew it wasn't going to win, but I really wanted it to win, but I knew it wasn't going to. Films that could have taken it that were up in the air were Conclave. A lot of people thought that Conclave might have snuck in there and taken the Best Picture win, but again, Conclave only took one award that night, which was for Best Adapted Screenplay. And if you are, again, paying attention, Honora was taking literally every single major award that night. Honora ended up walking away with 5. Yeah. Honora walked away with 5 wins that night. And yeah, I mean, Honora was a great film. There's no doubt about it. It was a great film. And I understand the Best Picture win. It was a movie, like I said, I think I wrote it down here. Where is it? Oh yeah. Nope, no, that wasn't it. I thought I wrote it down. I wrote it down somewhere. And here it is. Yeah, a big win for Honora. It only cost $6 million to make, and in total, it was $18 million in total, including marketing and its Oscars push. So a very, very low budget film that reaped in all the benefits of the award season. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to be looking at it, especially now since Hulu announced that it'll be streaming on its platform on March 17th.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, all right, Hulu's like, we got the Best Picture winner coming to our streaming service. Look at that.
Look at that.
What a coincidence. So yeah, I think it was a well-deserved win for Honora, and obviously that's the track it was for the night. A huge win again for Sean Baker, who won editing, writing, directing, as well as its own Best Picture. Do you ultimately feel like it deserved all the awards that it won, all 5?
No. I mean, just because Best Picture I thought could have went to others. I mean, it was a good movie. I just don't. There were other better options. Fernando Torres for Best Actress. I mean, editing should have been Dune 2. But I mean, maybe I'm biased. I don't know. Maybe I like this movie. I really do. I just don't think that it's as amazing as the Academy is making it out to be, I guess is what I should say.
So just take all the other nominations out, for example, which out of the 5 do you feel like it deserved the most? If we were highlighting it for the film itself, not what it's up against.
So what's that? That's Best Picture, Actress, Editing, Writing. What's the other one? I'm missing one.
Directing.
I guess not. The answer is none. The answer is 0. Like, it's a good movie, but comparatively in those categories, there were way better there were better options.
I feel like point blank, if I was looking at it, just answering my own question, without comparing it to the other nominations, I thought Mickey Madison's performance was fantastic.
Yeah, she was fantastic. She was great. Okay, I see what you're saying. But in comparison, to Fernando Torres and Demi Moore.
Right. I don't see it there. No. I don't think she had the best performance out of the 5. But if I'm just looking at it as a movie and seeing what the Academy was looking at, I don't see it for Best Picture. I don't think it was an overall a Best Picture worthy film.
No.
But I can see it highlighted for its writing, and I can see it highlighted for its for Best Actress.
Yeah, okay.
And,
I'll give you those. Yeah.
And then honestly, that's it. I don't see a huge highlight for directing, nor do I see a huge highlight for editing. So I get to the end of the day, I think it should have walked away with maybe 2 of those awards. But now that if we're comparing it, that's a different conversation. But point blank for the movie, definitely Best Actress, Best and Original Screenplay. But yeah, and so there you go. I feel like after our walking through all of this, we kind of had a lukewarm experience with some of the winners here.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's been kind of like a lull of a year. Even though we've been we were the most prepared, we were ready. It was underwhelming.
Yeah, especially with our excitement for there wasn't a film that we were kind of backing and supporting the entire time. I feel like there was more excitement when we were rallying against Everything Everywhere All at Once. And then last year we were rallying against Oppenheimer because those were 2 films that we really enjoyed and it was getting the recognition it deserved. And I guess now that we were kind of seeing how it was kind of panning out and we weren't really rallying behind any movie this year with that much passion, even though you like Dune Part 2 and I like The Substance, but we also knew early on that those films were not getting recognized the way that we thought. So then our kind of drive for Best Picture was well, if these 2 are not going to win, I don't think any of the other ones should probably win either. But here we are. Yeah. So anyway, that's our 2025 Oscars recap and kind of wrapping up our kind of awards talk. We've been doing this for a couple months and coming down to the end. I'm so happy we did it. I'm so happy we went through this.
I still love doing the Oscar coverage, but it's been a lukewarm year. We've had some really, really good years in the past, and I feel like this one is probably the one on the bottom of the list this year. Hopefully, maybe next year will be better.
Yeah, especially because we were talking about our lukewarm experience with the documentary categories as well as the shorts and the features. There were some other ones we didn't really agree with at the end of the day. So yeah, I do agree with you. It's kind of a lukewarm year, and clearly not a lot of people were watching, and people were watching, but not to the extent. I feel like by next month, no one's going to be talking about the Oscars.
Oh yeah, nobody's. They're going to be like, Nora who?
Yeah, what?
What?
Okay, I don't even know what that film is. And some people don't. They still don't know what this film is. But before we wrap up our awards talk, we talked about a whole hour about the best. We got to talk about the worst. The Razzies, everyone, notoriously highlighting the worst films of the year. We talked about the nominees a few episodes back, and now we're here to discuss the winners of the 45th Razzie nominations. For Worst Picture, out of Reagan, Megalopolis, Madam Web, Joker Folie à Deux, and Borderlands, the winner for Worst Picture went to Madam Web. And I could not agree more. If you want to hear my thoughts on Madam Web, go find it in a previous episode. It was a great episode we had, Ernesto.
Good times.
Worst actor went to Jerry Seinfeld and his performance in Unfrosted. Worst actress went to Dakota Johnson and her performance in Madam Web. It was a terrible performance. Sorry, Dakota Johnson. Worst supporting actor went to Jon Voight for his performance in 4 films, which was Megalopolis, Reagan, Shadowland, and Strangers. They told me he was bad in all those movies, and he won the award for that. Worst supporting actress went to Amy Schumer for her performance in Unfrosted. I think Unfrosted is getting a little not the right amount of love. I thought the movie was fine. I thought it was a fine movie. It was kind of wacky. It was kind of stupid. I don't think it was worst picture quality because it was a satire. So it was part of the course there. Worst director went to Francis Ford Coppola for his directing style in Megalopolis. And what I find interesting about that is that he actually commented on this Razzie win, and he said this: "I'm thrilled to accept the Razzie Award in so many. I'm thrilled to accept the Razzie Award in so many important categories for Megalopolis, and for the distinct honor of being nominated as the worst director, worst screenplay, and worst picture at the time when at a time when so few have the courage to go against the prevailing trends of contemporary movie making."
Oh, okay.
He also, sorry?
I was like, oh, okay. If I was trying to see where he was going with that, but I see it now.
Yes. He continued to say, "In this wreck of a world today where art is given scores as if it were professional wrestling, I choose not to follow the gutless rules laid down by the industry, so terrified to risk that despite the enormous pool of young talent at its disposal, many not create pictures that were relevant and alive 50 years from now." So I think he makes a good point. If he says that I'm happy to win this award for being bold and being creative, even though not everyone liked it, but I gave it a shot, and not a lot of young creators are willing to do that. I hear your point, Francis Ford Coppola.
I see you.
I see you. Worst screen combo went to Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga for their duo performance in Joker Folie à Deux. I don't think that's right.
I don't think that's fair. I think that movie gets shit on more than what it's worth.
I agree.
I don't think it was that bad.
I don't think it was that bad either. I think it also won for worst prequel, remake, ripoff, or sequel. But also, it was also going up against The Crow, Kraven the Hunter, Mufasa the Lion King, and Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver. Again, I don't think this Joker Folie à Deux, as we explained in our episode, was not a bad movie.
No, it wasn't terrible.
Wasn't a great movie, just wasn't bad. Worst screenplay went to Madam Web, and Razzie often gives out a Razzie redeemer, so someone who has won a Razzie in the past, but then has come back and does great work, and so they are almost like lifted from their bad previous performances. So the Razzie redeemer this year went to Pamela Anderson for her performance in The Last Showgirl.
Okay.
So
what did she get a Razzie for before?
I don't know. That's a great question. I'm not willing to do the homework right now to figure that out. Unless you can find that out very quickly. But I don't know what she got a Razzie for. But I just thought it was funny that Francis Ford Coppola kind of made a statement about his Razzie win. But yeah, so
in 1996, she won the Golden Razzie for Worst Supporting Actress for her role in Barb Wire. The film was a critical and commercial failure, and Anderson's performance was widely panned. It's a movie called Barb Wire, but it's like Barb Wire are separate. Like her name was Barb, and there's a Y. I don't know.
I get it. Well, I guess many years later, she has now been redeemed for that performance. So, congratulations to her, I guess. But anyway, those are the Razzie winners. Those are the Oscar winners. We're here. We're calling it a wrap on our 2025 Oscars and awards coverage of this year. Ernesto, we did it. We did the work. We are now basking in its glory. This is our bonus episode. Thank you, everyone, for listening and kind of going along this journey with us. We enjoy doing it every year, and we're going to do it again next year. And so, yeah. I like this. I like that we were able to do it, even though it was a lukewarm year at the end of the day. But it's always fun doing the work regardless, and at least we have opinions on everything that's going on.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
We also see what their Oscars and what the Academy thinks are some of the best pictures, and now we can see what they thought, and we have our opinions on it at the end of the day. But yeah, if you want more from us, you can always follow us on our social media channels on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok at Box Office Bingers, our X and Letterboxd page at Box Office Binger, and our Threads and Instagram page at _Bingers. The fun doesn't stop here. It continues on our social media channels. So be sure to follow all of them to be up to date on all the crazy stuff we do on our social media channels. and all the newest episodes that we put out each and every week. As we've been saying before, Ernesto, tell our lovely listeners what they can look forward to next week.
So next week, we're getting back to nerd shit. We're getting back to regularly scheduled programming. So we're going to be reviewing We're finally going to be reviewing Captain America: Brave New World. We got a shit ton of news, and they finally get caught up on some what you're watching. There's quite a few things that you've been watching, I've been watching, that we just kind of need to. I want to catch up with you on, and kind of see where we're at and see where we're at. Too.
I know. In past episodes, we've done weekly binges, so we're going to see if we want to go back and do one of that. We know that Daredevil Born Again just kicked in, so maybe that's something to keep an eye on. I know we have to talk about, even though I haven't started it yet, but I really do want to talk to you about Severance.
Yeah,
we are extremely behind on that. We have yet to talk about The White Lotus, and I have not started that either.
Me neither.
Because all of our attention has been on this Oscar coverage. So between that, we also haven't even talked about Squid Game season 2, which was like forever ago at this point. I also watched What If season 3. I watched Skeleton Crew. I feel like I'm missing another show. I watched Arcane. I don't think I even talked about that.
Nope.
So yeah, we have a lot of what you're watching to discuss. I think we might hold off on news just one more week because there's so much we have to discuss on this. And then in another future episode, so maybe not next week, but the week after, we'll devote a lot of time of all the news we missed out on the last 2 months, I guess.
Almost 3.
Almost 3. Oscars are hard work, people. Oscars are hard work.
But it's
someone's got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was worth it. It was worth the journey. But yes, back to regularly scheduled programming for sure. And yeah, I'm looking forward to. Have you seen Captain America: Brave New World yet?
No, I'm seeing it this weekend.
Okay, so it'll be fresh in your mind. I saw it last week or 2 weeks ago. I've been really dying to have this conversation with you because, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm excited. Next week's gonna be fun.
All right. Again, thank you for listening. Just talk about movies. Really do appreciate it. Come back next week. Come back next week for more movie fun. You're not going to regret it. And for that, I've been your host, Matt Diaz.
I've been Ernesto Santos. See ya.